Module 2, Seeing and Interpreting Shapes. Almost every drawing or a form can be seen in basic geometric shape, that is, a square, a triangle, and a sphere. You will find that even the most complicated subject can be seen this way. If you look carefully, you will notice that any subject can be viewed and drawn within the boundaries of these shapes. Before you start the drawing of the head, you have to learn more about different shapes individually. I will draw a triangle, a square, and a circle. If you observe carefully, you will notice that the basic oval form of the head can be found in all these three shapes. Let me draw each of them individually and explain this further. Starting with triangle, you can place an oval shape in a triangle. Same applies to a square, and finally I will draw the oval within the form of a circle too. That's how all faces that we see around us fall within these three basic shapes. I will divide the circle in 4 equal parts and place the facial features. We have discussed about the basic division of the face and its general guidelines in earlier lesson. I will placing the eyes, nose, mouth, and chin to get a perfect circular face. Similarly, I will place the facial features on a triangle. Some pupils have very triangular face. Their cheeks, bones are hollow, and the facial features are usually sharp. That further accentuate the triangular face cut. I will add glasses to this face, and it helps build a certain character to this particular sketch. For the last basic shape of a square, I will again begin by dividing this in 4 equal parts and place the facial features. The chin, the jawbone, nose, eyes and forehead will all begin to reveal a face within the square rectangular shape. Do not add details. I am placing the features through strong strokes with some suggestions of light and dark. These were the 3 types of basic shapes of the head. So when you begin to draw a portrait from a real model, see what the basic shape of his face is. Amongst the 3 basic shapes, square, circle and triangle, think about the shape that best describes the model's face. Another important concept to understand very well in order to know of the shape that are seen within a basic form is the concept of light and dark. Are the tonal variation at that point largely responsible for the face to appear in a certain way? The face can appear sad, relaxed or intense depending upon the light that falls on the face. Notice these things along. See where the light coming from is, and is there a particular shape that it is forming on the face. Let me talk about a tree as an example. What is the basic form of the tree? It is a rectangular and a circle. Largely, all trees can be found by using these 2 shapes. This changes if we decide to look at an Ashoka tree to sketch. As an Ashoka tree basic form when looked at with a half close view is of a triangle and a rectangle placed together. Let me remind you that to see objects in their basic form, You must half close your eyes and then look at the object. This way you eliminate the details from your vision, and all that you are left with is a basic form. We have discussed this in a lesson before. Tree is one large form of a circle, and millions of leaves within this form are also mostly found to be close to a form of a circle. Everything in nature, if you look around, is confined within these three basic shapes of the circle, square, and a triangle. Animators usually use basic shapes to show animals and human figures. Look at an example of a human figure in basic form. So basic shapes can be used to create anything around you. Vice versa is also true. Any object can be dismantled to these basic shapes. It is important for illustrators to know this concept. For example, I will draw a cow and a horse to explain what I have been trying to say all this while. Any animal, any figure can be drawn similarly. So the final figure will remain within the basic form. Draw anything keeping this in mind. If you capture the basic form and shapes of an object correctly, it will carry a strong resemblance of the object that you are trying to draw without even any details drawn. Have a beautiful play of lines and different shapes on your paper. Draw any shape that comes to your mind. Pick gouache as your medium as it follows and stretches on paper easily. Try different lines. Move your brush in different directions and start drawing shapes of different kind. This will help you in the later stages. Practice drawing the three basic shapes that we spoke of. Fill the sheet with squares, triangles and circles of various sizes. These exercises are very important to internalize the knowledge of the basic concept of art. I have years of experience of scribbling, drawing and observing things around me. Thus my memory bank of lines and shapes is huge. And as when I draw, I can interpret the subject according to my mood and state. So eyes, nose, chin and nose, if speaking collectively, can be considered as subshape falling within the basic shape of an inverted triangle. Sticking to the three basic shapes of triangle, square and a circle at this point is a good idea. If you closely notice, the form of anybody's head mostly falls within the parameters of these three main basic shapes. I pull the lines from my memory that will help express my mind the best in that point of time. No two drawings from imagination are ever the same. Drawing from imagination are the graphic interpretation of your mind. As the mind is ever changing, so are your drawings. I will make a quick sketch of a head and you will see the shapes we drew before can all be spotted in the drawing of a head. Draw from imagination. You do not necessarily need to look at a model. Try several such freehand drawings of the head, always keeping your mind alert and aware of the shapes that are coming together to create a recognizable form. The human face is full of various shapes and forms. Spot them, observe the same and then make an attempt on paper. Any object can be viewed as a setup of shape. See and note carefully the shapes that are within form. Closely watch another portrait that I will draw from imagination. How various shapes and lines will collect together to create the form of a head. Keep your hands supple when practicing. Check yourself repeatedly that you do not get tense, resulting in a rigid or a tense hand that may obstruct a free movement of your brush. Practice many free movement lines with a supple hand. All these lessons have to practice simultaneously. They are like grammar lessons to pick any language, where each concept must be understood individually and later these have to be applied together to form a flow in your language. Point is, these lessons mainly consisting of scribbling, learning to see, sketching and interpreting shapes will later result in structural drawing. A human face is a construction of many basic shapes. You will find hidden triangles, squares and circle in a face. As an exercise, try to construct a face by using just these three basic shapes. Light and shade will raise other subshapes in a face. All this may sound as a lot of work initially, but slowly it becomes easy for the mind to filter so much information. Don't think of anything, draw lines or anything you feel like, just keep the basic proportion of a head in mind. Look at the form of a tree in gauche. A tree is a large form that primarily contains the shapes of triangle and circle. It is built up by these shapes and subshapes. You have to analyze these shapes within each form. I am drawing a tree by imagination and interpreting the form of a tree through various shapes and lines. Look how I have covered the front of the page with thick strokes. Try thick lines and strokes. It will help you create perspective in landscape as well as in portraiture. Traveling a certain way to create perspective. Before I move behind to create another tree in the background, a single line here and then many branches shooting out. Trees are the best element in nature to learn about shapes, subshapes and forms. I often send my students outdoor to practice several tree studies. There are different other shapes within a tree. When you fill these up, they together create a form with different tonal variations. They collectively create tones, a form and a design. Let's simplify the object we see around us in basic shapes of a circle, a square or a triangle. These three again appears tree. You may divide these basic forms in various shapes and subshapes. These same holds true for a head. The basic form of a head is an oval. But a dominating shape of a circle, triangle or a square can be found within these basic forms. I will draw a face and simplify it into basic shapes. Beginning with the basic form of an egg-shaped oval, I will mark the facial features, and as I begin to draw the facial features, you will notice that the eyes are an oval, the nose a triangle, and mouth is either a square or an oval. The rest of the area and feature of the face all fall within three geometric shapes. For practice sake, try these lines again. These lines will help you master the strokes. Do not keep your brush rigid. Keep your brush flexible. This flexibility will give you supple and delicate lines. This is a primary requisite for any kind of artwork that you intend to master. These practices are important to master the subject. Keep the brush loose and let it follow all over the paper. Do these exercises every day and fill up to 10 or 15 sheets of full-size paper. We have main basic shapes of the head. We have divided nature and concise it in three main geometric shapes: circle, square and triangles. We can divide these in further into shapes and subshapes. These subshapes collectively create a form, and that finally leads to a design. Try and scribble every day. Remember these main points when you scribble. Create around 10 to 15 sheets every day. Keep your hands supple. Keep the brush flexible and not rigid. Try and practice such lines with the board kept over an easel. So you will not rest your hand on the board and restrict your movement. This exercise requires dedication and hard work. You need precision of portrait. And that will happen if you have mastered various lines. Just by placing 3 calculated dots on paper, I can create a structural drawing or a structural form. Move your brush any way you like to add more to your form and at places where you wish to give more emphasis. Once the eyes are trained to see the various forms around, we further begin to fine-tune our skill of seeing the shapes within each form. As discussed before, you can see shape everywhere, whether it be a tree, a human figure or a head. I will draw another head and divide it in a three basic shapes of a circle, triangle and square. You will see there are so many triangular shapes in a face. You have to train your eyes to be able to see any object, a complex blend of basic shapes. The main objective of this lesson is to help the student different between forms and shapes. Play the shapes is responsible for the changing form of any object. Observing various human figures and faces will establish this further. So practice these lines and shapes from imagination. Draw several such portraits and they will be beautiful creative drawings. You may later work over them with any medium or color. The light and shade create subshapes. The knowledge of all these concepts truly comes through practice. The recognition and differentiation between the two along with strong line work is a prerequisite for developing good drawing skill. Train your eyes to view the world in basic shapes, subshapes, forms and tones. Understand the role of light in creating the world that we live in.